Right, good evening, everybody. Oh, go on, that's that. Sorry, we were just waiting. I know that woke you up, didn't it? We were just hanging on to see whether Carrie was coming in, but not here at the moment. So we'll plough on and see if she wants to join in. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fun-filled standards meeting. What I do need to say at the start is we're not training anymore. All the meetings are now being recorded. So please bear that in mind. That this is going out into the public realm, so to speak. Everyone okay with that? Noted? Good. And if anyone does tell Tracy, we'll make sure we say that separately as well in case I have to repeat myself. Right then, so today's agenda, just to say at the very start, we're just going to add item 8, which is a update on the code of conduct and the social media policy. Obviously, those documents are part of the agenda. Originally, we were going to just put as part of case and work update, but just to make it look a bit cleaner for members of the public potentially reading the agenda, we'll add that under a separate item. Is everyone okay with that? Great. All right then. So the first item is any apologies. Over to Tracy.
Okay. We have apologies from Councillor Buckle and also John Bagley.
Thank you very much. And are there any declarations of interest?
Can I declare an interest, assuming item number 4? We'll step out if there is a discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. Right then, next is on to the meetings of the minute held on the 2nd of July. Has everyone had a chance to go through the minutes? Any comments anyone wishes to make? Everyone happy if I sign them off as being a true and accurate record?
I think it'll be Monday the 1st of October, not the 2nd.
Monday 1st of October, why I'm saying 2nd of July, I don't know. That was the test, see if you read the minutes. So you passed, gold star for that one. So
Was it 2nd of October?
yeah, it's because I've read it off the website version, so that's, no, we'll read it off. Yeah, it's on there. Oh, anyway, done. Done. No worries. Okay, thank you very much. So I shall sign them into law. They're on there. Right, that's done. Okay, so next item on the agenda. Over to the modules.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of my report primarily is to update on complaints under the code. Just to appraise the committee this evening of the numbers of complaints since the implementation of the standards regime in July 2012. The total now stands at 54 complaints, and there have been 5 complaints since the meeting in October. And I should say that is at the time that I wrote this report. That number is different now, but that will be produced within the report for the next meeting. Details of the complaints are attached at Appendix A rather. There is just one slight revision to make to the complaint to the date received 26th of September 2018. The decision and date the wording to just be revised to the complaint reviewed and no formal action taken. I should also say, for the sake of completeness, some of those complaints, I'm sure some of you will be looking at them thinking that they can't possibly still be at informal assessment stage. Some of them have concluded but hadn't concluded at the time that I wrote the report, so again I'll bring those to the next meeting. Turning then to the code and the guidance, both of those documents have been circulated to parish councils for comment.
Have you done the separate item?
Just to sort of summarise where we're at for now. There is also a parish council forum planned for February, which the chair and I intend to attend, which will provide further opportunity for parishes to comment. There is also, just to note, a meeting of full council on the 7th of March, and that potentially provides an opportunity for the code to be adopted. And I have also, since the last meeting, updated the code and guidance for discussion as part of the next agenda item, following comments that were made there.
Right.
So I think that's my report in a nutshell, if anybody has any questions.
No. Okay, also just to mention to Councillor White, the meeting's now being officially recorded now, just so you're aware, as of today. So it's official. Okay, great. before you want to come up with anything to say. Okay, so if everyone's happy with that, so the report in front of us, the recommendation is to note the comments of the report from the Watching Officer. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, so what we're going to do now is then go on to a separate item, which will just be its update on the code of conduct and the social media policy. So back over to the Watching Officer.
Following on from the last meeting, I've made some of the revisions that we spoke about in terms of trying to work out some acronyms to make things easier to remember. I'm afraid I struggled with that one, so I wasn't able to progress that, but I have added in some comments as per the documents that you should have all received, and amendments, and it's really a matter for your discussion now as to whether you're content that the discussion that was had at the last meeting, that this guidance and code now takes account of that.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, first of all, before I just go around the room, it's worth saying as well, we have emailed out to all the parish and town forums. There was a slight mix-up where we didn't have some of the email addresses, so that's now been sent out, but we're aware we may have missed the November meetings for some of those councils, so we do expect or hope we might get some responses sort of after the first couple of weeks in December. So there is potential we could get some more feedback. We're obviously hoping by the time we got this meeting we'd have all the potential feedback from parish town forum. So if we do get level of feedback that we think we potentially might need to make some just an example of recommendations I held that are very much different to what has been put on the agenda, then potentially we'd have to call another meeting or discuss it at a further scheduled meeting. But as it stands, I think it's, as someone was saying in a previous meeting we had, this could go on and on for months and years. You keep saying we get another amendment, we can see there. We've got to, look at where we are now with the draft we've got in front of us, see where we are happy in that current text for that to take forwards, barring, like I say, anyone coming with some bombshell out the works that's something that we may have missed or something that should be added that we think should go at a later stage. But like I say, I think if we just keep holding off, we'll probably get to a couple of years' time until we discuss it. And as I said, as we also agreed at last meeting, we wanted to try to get this to the stage where we all start in May with a new term and everyone's where they need to be. So just go around the room. If anyone's got any comments, disagrees with that or different states. So anyone want to make comments at all? Yeah, Mary. Oh, so you got him first. Beat the buzzer around, I'm afraid. Yeah.
I was only going to make, I've nothing very specific except at the very end on this business of sending messages, and I think we need to incorporate something at the very end where it's saying, in effect, sleep on it before you send it. Not only sleep on it, but reread it before you send it, quite frankly, because that I find in many things that I get, someone has clearly never even read it at all because of the mistakes that come forward. That's the only bit. I think it just needs that extra bit. I'm sorry. Sorry?
Yes.
But send it.
It's at the very end of the document. It literally says just that, sleep on it. But was the comment more that it needs to say more than that?
I think you need to say, or something to the effect of, just please reread it before you actually press that button. That's all. That's all I'm saying. It really is almost, yes, you're annoyed but you've written it, you've tapped it in, leave it for the night, you're okay the next morning, then just send it. You need to reread it again, I think, quite frankly. You really do.
Someone's also something along the lines of, like, say, once you've sent it, that's an incorporation.
I've read it this afternoon. Put it on page 16. Yeah, and that's appendix B. Let the bubble think before you sign. Yes. And the person responsible for your social media. Yeah.
So, are you happy with how it is there? Okay. No, okay, no, it's great. We've gone over that, and if everyone's happy with that stage at the moment, let's go over to Carrie.
Did you want to take comments on this or code of conduct bit now as well?
Yep. Anything you want to make comments off, go for it.
So on the code of conduct, I think we kind of mentioned it before, but I think some of these, in order to make sense, might need a little bit of sort of further links. So, for example, when talking about you must abide by pre-election rules during pairing periods. to someone new into the business, that's not necessarily that clear. So if we could think about where it would be appropriate to include links to other sections of the council guidance, I think that would really enhance the value of this for somebody, as you say, coming in new to it. On a sort of similar vein, on Appendix B in the box with the square around it, we say you need to disclose everything to your monitoring officer, whereas the bit after the table about guidance in respect of declaring interests, it says please remember to keep your register interests up to date. And again, that could just do with going that little bit further and saying by, or here's the procedure, or because whilst it says yes, you need to keep everything up to date and here's what you need to think about, it doesn't quite say how. Does that make sense?
It does, yes, thank you. Just in terms of the PERDA point particularly, there is a member induction programme that sort of sits, I suppose, alongside of this, which will be rolled out in May time, and PERDA is one of the things that will be on there. So this is, I suppose, the sort of overarching document, but there is training that sits behind it. So in terms of links, there isn't anything specific that we could sort of point them to other than what's already on the intranet or as part of the documentation that they'll receive as part of the member induction programme, and that's yet to be finalised. The induction programme certainly still being talked about, but it's certainly something that I can note and feedback as something that specifically needs to be. I absolutely agree and take the point. It's a very important matter, so I can take that back.
Okay, thank you. I should note as well, I'm also on the member development group, and we actually discussed the agenda and the training programme for the new councillors, and that I did mention it. I thought I might get told off if I didn't. So no, I have mentioned it, and that is going to be noted in terms of what the chief executive is saying as well as part of his initial welcome. You're in the club now. This is what you need to do statement. So that will be covered in that as well. But thank you for saying that again, and it would also be helpful. The monitoring officer does make that clear as well to the Office of Constitutional Services, not just me, which we're on a potentially one meeting, but also come from Thornley Group. I think that would be helpful as well. So thank you very much. Anything else from that? Okay. Anyone else want to make any comments? Right then, I think we're at the stage where we can note where we are. So obviously there's no recommendation written down, but what I would say on this one would be, so if everyone's happy, what we will then do is, barring any feedback coming back that is potentially changing the whole doc, so to speak, or anything potentially that would change the flavour of what we discussed, we will get to the stage where February at the Town and Parish Forum, this will be discussed with the representative there, and we're provisionally looking at taking it to full council on the 7th of March.
Yeah. There is a meeting of this committee in February as well. The date for the Parish and Town Forum hasn't yet been decided. It's supposed to be around February, but it would fit quite neatly if that happened just before the meeting, and then I can include any information that comes out of that in my report.
Well, I think if the date's not been set for the Town and Parish Forum, if we can go back to constituency, if we can try to get it potentially a week before our meeting.
That would fit nicely.
And that way, if there is ever comes back, we can really tidy this up and make sure we're absolutely happy any comments come out there before we go forwards. Would everyone be happy with that? If we obviously can't guarantee, we've got to go back to all the different officers to put that together. Yes. I'm sure they'll
I can
take
make
that.
the inquiries, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But coming from yourself, I'm sure they'll be scared in submission doing that, so that's fine. Sounds good to me there. Right then, so if everyone's happy, that's what we'll go with.
Sorry, Jonathan.
Sorry.
Last minute, just a thought about the PERDA bit is very important, obviously, for borough councillors. And what we try to hope is that the parish councils tend to adopt the code of conduct without any changes. And that's useful for everybody. I'm not sure that PERDA will mean very much, unless you've been involved in government, to most parish councillors. And that bit you may well have to explain that at the forum, whether it applies or it doesn't apply to parishes. Because I mean, what will happen is that you obviously nominate yourself to be a parish councillor. The work of the council carries on, and you may well have a meeting between when you nominate yourself and when you come down to the annual AGM. Just putting it out there that we might have to sort of another reason for explaining about PERDA to the extent it applies to parish councils or not.
It's certainly on the list of things that I want to talk about at the Town and Parish Forum, because there are different approaches to elections at parish level, and co-opting and that sort of thing. So I think it's a useful opportunity to go through the process and the, you know, how it actually should work, as opposed to perhaps what's happening from just local arrangements and habits and things. So it's something that I'm going to be raising at the profile of at that meeting.
Okay, right then.
Just make one more
Of course.
point. When should we discuss, I guess, the communication plan of this? So what format it takes, the where it's done, the how it's pushed out to people. Would you think that would be appropriate for the February meeting?
Yeah, no, I think that would be, because also what we can do as well as at the town and parish forum meeting is actually ask the representative there,
Yeah,
how best
would
do you feel?
like
Yeah,
this?
it's something that I
absolutely.
think is really key. We need to make sure we're not dictating here as best we can. We need to make sure people are being involved, especially town and parish forums, and how best to communicate. Like I said, no point in sending out an email that no one reads. So I think it's a very good point. So we'll put that to the town and parish forum, ask how they feel best to communicate it out, and then we can then incorporate that into the plan for our meeting. But thank you for bringing that. It was a good reminder to make sure we heard that. You happy with that?
Yeah.
Great. So we'll make sure we do that. And if any ideas in the meantime, obviously, please send them through to the March up so we can incorporate that into the agenda tonight item as well. And I think that goes without saying as well. Any ideas, suggestions for future items on the future agendas, please feel free to make them, whether it's this meeting now or whether you want to do it separately, if something comes to mind that we feel we should discuss. Because it's important that everyone has that involvement and put something forward that things should be on there. Right then, any further comments on the constitution, on the updates, social media policy and constitution? No? Right then, so if we go to it, if everyone's happy regulations be set out, all those in favour? Great. And there's just any other business anyone wants to raise? If not, then thank you very much. I know it's a short meeting, but so is the best kind as we usually say. But I think it's great just to cover off where we are at the moment and to put that firm plan in place for around the February meeting and hopefully going forward from there. So thank you very much for everyone attending. We're very much appreciated. Have a safe journey home.